I'd like to show you how to solve this kind of problem by turning the problem into an equation that you can solve. There are lots of strategies for solving this type of problem, some that I actually think are easier than this strategy, but this is just one way of solving it. So in place of that blank line, I'm going to put a variable, a letter, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose to use the variable x. Okay, now I need to distribute the multiplication into the parentheses. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times x is 2x. And now I have an equation that I can just solve using a balancing line. I'd like to get this term 2x by itself, so the 16 needs to go away. It's a positive 16, so to make it go to 0, I'm going to subtract 16. Plus 16 minus 16 is 0, and I have a negative 2x left on this side. You need to make sure that that subtraction sign comes down and becomes the negative sign on the 2x, because you cannot rearrange subtraction the way you can multiplication, so you have to change it into a negative. And then 6 minus 16 would give me negative 10. When I get to this point where I have the term with the variable by itself on one side and the rest of the numbers on the other side, I can go ahead and divide. And I always want to divide by the coefficient on the variable. That's just a big fancy math word. That means the number, including its sign, that's in front of the letter. So I have negative 2 over negative 2, which gives me 1, positive 1. So I'm left with 1x. And I have a negative divided by a negative, which is a positive, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that means that 5 goes up here, and we can check using order of operations. 8 minus 5 is 3, and 3 times 2 is 6, so we got it right. Okay, here's another one where again I'm just going to go ahead and put an x in place of that blank line. And 2 times x is just 2x. In this case I didn't have to distribute because there were no parentheses. Now I would go ahead and solve, and I'd like that minus 7 to go away, so I'm going to add 7. Minus 7 plus 7 is 0. I'm left with 2x. And 9 plus 7 is 16. Then I'm to that point where I have the variable term by itself on one side. I can divide. 2 over 2 gives me 1x, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that means that this must be 8. So we go back up here and check, and we would do multiplication first. 2 times 8 is 16, and minus 7 is indeed 9. So we got that correct.